Morning. 10 at watch. I'm reading my Bible. Had a great Sabbath. It ended this morning when the sun came up. I'm going to share with you Matthew. I pray Jehovah be glorified. I'm just moving around in Matthew 7 to 10 here. I'm in Matthew 7. Thinking of the world around me, I don't want to be judged. I've had this experience in the last few years. Coming out of recovery, 12-step recovery. We don't judge. Well, it says, for with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And with what measure you meet, you shall be measured to you. I'm going to communicate the truth. The truth is it's a requirement not to be a hypocrite. Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote of thy brother's eye. And he says not to give this which is holy unto the dogs. Cast your pearls before the swine. Other places it says if they receive you, you have fellowship. If they don't, move on, And as I process this, I'm seeking, I'm asking, I'm being fed, being fed by the group. YAHOVA speaking to the group. And we get something called meat in due season. We got a lot of meat come in. So if you're a believer and you have hearing ears, that's good. For the most part, we're also giving our corn and oil to the wine, or to people that are not hearing, our corn, our wine, and our oil to people that don't listen, our enemy. When you get over to 10, who shall not receive you nor hear your words when you depart out of the house or the city, shake the dust off. It also says it'll be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah, in that day of judgment for that than that city, It's a big deal if you don't receive the word of the Watchmen. People don't understand this sword. It says, think that I have not come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I'm come to set a man at variance against his father and his daughter, and against her mother and a daughter-in-law, and against her mother-in-law. Man's foes shall be thine own household. This is true. This is the same thing in Luke. Let's see. I've come to set fire on the earth. This is 12:49. On the earth, and what will I, if it were, be already kindled? I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how I am straight until it be accomplished. Baptism of fire here. Oh. Suppose you that I come to give peace on earth, I tell you nay, but rather division. I remember when I saw this verse, I always thought Satan was the one that did the dividing. From henceforth there shall be 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2, 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, and the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother. Keeps going. And it says you're not able to discern the time. And why even of yourselves judge not what is right. I think I'm going to go back here to the word of the prophet, Micah. Chapter 6, verse 8. He showed thee, O man, what is good. What does Jehovah require of thee? But to do justly. He wants justice. And to love mercy. We've clarified that on this channel. He wants us to rebuke our neighbor and to walk humbly with YAHOVA. No hypocrisy, you know. The Lord's voice crieth unto the city, and the man of wisdom shall see thy name, YAHOVA, and hear ye the rod, and who hath appointed it. Now we're talking about this rod of iron, this sword, this fiery sword. I'm going to be honest with you. As I flip over to Revelations, I'll just talk to you for a minute. A few years back, when I was getting the log out of my own eye, not committing adultery, not eating pork, you know, for a long time. I wasn't gathering or assembling on the Sabbath, but yeah, I was going to these 12-step meetings. This guy came in. Your girls came up, and I was chairing the meetings. And they were like, hey, this guy's a pervert. You hear what he's saying to us? Think you could say something? And I'm like, you know, I told the guy, I was like, listen, you know, if you want help, you know, he's like really bad off. You know, he's dying. And I told him, like, you're shaking, you drink every day, you come in here drunk, you know, you're going to die, number one. And then I made it about the main thing. I said, if you're going to turn your life over, you know, you're going to have to have a conversation with yourself. And if you want some help with that, but in the meantime, shut the F up and quit being foul to these girls and stuff. And so he was just a pervert, you know. 2 weeks later, he was eating a Subway sandwich and he fell over and he died. And I was like, wow. You know, I'm not Gandalf. But it was probably the last conversation that he had with anybody. Nevertheless, I spoke in behalf of YAHOVA. This guy had a lot of lust in his heart. I was celibate. I wasn't committing adultery. And, you know, yeah, you know, I know it's a hard walk. You got to cast down any vain imagination. They pop in. But he wasn't practicing any kind of thing, and I was trying to tell him. Then kind of hit me. But it wasn't only that time. It was another time I told somebody, I was like, hey, you've been coming around sister's house, and so you parked in the driveway, and we were camping, you showed up, and I was like, yeah, maybe, you know, where are you going with this? You know, she's trying to get her head above water. She's basically trying to recover from being a sex addict. She's looking for God. She's been on her knees praying, like, you know, you don't want no part of any of this. You're partying, and what do you think the right thing to do is? I mean, I went to breakfast with the guy. I remember he had a rice sandwich. I had eggs, and yeah, about 3 months later, he was in the hospital, and she told me about it. And I said, "Where are you going to go see him?" She said, "No," and I was like, "Man, you was really into this guy. Where you at?" She said, "Well, he's married." So I took a married man to breakfast and asked him to do the right thing. And just trying to establish, you know, justice, and it was a merciful thing to do. Yeah, so 3 months later, he's in the hospital. A month later, he's dead. And I'm looking at his obituary. His phone number's still on my phone. He's not going to answer. We had our last conversation, and that's what I'm talking about, this fiery judgment that's been given, this rod of authority that's been given to the Watchmen. And I thought, well, how am I going to communicate this today? And I thought, well, I have to go back to taking the splinter out of the eye and just look at the camera and tell folks. You know, this is going to be a little longer than 10 minutes today. You know, this is to the church of Thyatira. The Spirit says to the churches. So this is to believers. Angel of the church at Thyatira, right? This is in Revelations 2, verse 18. These things saith Yeshua, the Son of YAHOVA, who has eyes like unto a flame of fire. There's that fire again, and his feet are like fine brass. I know their work in charity and service and faith and thy patience and thy works, and the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding, church, believers, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest, thou woman Jezebel, which calls herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. I gave her space to repent for her fornications, and she repented not. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into church, into great tribulation. Church that does not repent into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. So that's 2:22, Revelations 2:22. Church, you're going into tribulation. For what? Teaching and seducing servants to commit fornication and eat things sacrificed unto idols. You know, in my last video, I was talking about the fire where the idol was made, and I emphasized the idols, the literal idols that are made. But the son of perdition has set itself up into the heart of mankind. You'll find that in the last few videos. 2 Thessalonians 2. Yeah. He set himself up as God in the temple. He works real closely with the spirit of Jezebel. The spirit of Jezebel is getting you to go to churches and listen to speakers that are females teach congregations. That's not YAHOVA. That's the spirit of Jezebel. It's getting people to eat ham with their Christmas tree. That's not YAHOVA. It's violating the commandments. So when it says commit fornication, it's and being taught and seduced to follow a doctrine or a teaching that's not of YAHOVA. And the Watchmen come and establish that you have to repent and keep the commandments. See, it's been laid out. You know, the prophet says, you know, YAHOVA wants justice. He wants mercy, and he wants humility. And all we see is pride. You know, this fire that's kindled is already taken and went through my family. I don't talk with my brothers. At the time we're kind of getting close, but see, my brother wanted to turn back. He gave me this Torah right here. When he found the truth, he was seeking, you know, he went too far to the right, eating, you know, feasting with the people that want to do Passover and eat lamb and stuff. And we come from, you know, the left, you know. Maybe I'll end this with the straight gate because we were right there. Yeah, come from the Christmas tree and the fornication that, you know, if you're being taught by the spirit of Jezebel, you know, Revelations has come out of her, my people. This whore of Babylon, it's not covenant. It's not YAHOVA. You gotta repent. You know, you get to Matthew 7 here, and it says, enter ye into the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there which which go in thereat. But straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Beware of false prophets. So you will know them by their fruits. You know, I'm making a video to tell you to go in at the straight gate and don't be seduced by these false teachings and this lawless doctrine. You know, the commandments were written by the finger of YAHOVA. You know, he's going to send his watchmen out here into the world. We're not going to be received. You know, we're not. Our families don't receive us. Matter of fact, it's Ecclesiastes 7:28. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to end this video. You know, this is fiery judgment. This is the rod of iron that we're going to be given. You know, we're going to come back with even more authority after we're caught up to the throne. We're being faithful right now, and our family's going to be saved. That's why I'm doing this. This caused division, but I'm making the main thing, and the main thing is YAHOVA. And I haven't even finished my coffee. I'm waking up and telling you repent, are going to go into tribulation. So it's that simple, you know. I care enough to tell you that. I know 990 people, 99 people are going to reject this message, and maybe one will hear, but nonetheless, I'm still going to tell you, make sure this isn't the last conversation you hear with somebody telling you to do the right thing for the right reason, for the right person. If you're having a hard time with that, go to straightasthegate.net, and I'm also going to attach a.k.a. Watchmen. So, thank you.